Good evening. Day one of the election campaign, and the Prime Minister was always going to have the advantage of the first move. Rishi Sunak crisscrossed Britain today, visiting Derbyshire, Glamorgan and the Highlands. Each stop, we might presume, carefully planned and, it must be said, heavily orchestrated. Not that all that prevented teetotaler Rishi Sunak from committing his first gaffe of the tour at a brewery, no less, a headline writer's dream. He'd already had to concede that Rwanda deportation flights would not take off before election day. That, claims Sir Keir Starmer, proved the PM never thought the flagship scheme would work anyway. Sir Keir was speaking in Gillingham, declaring it a good place to start Labour's campaign, a campaign which is tonight only just beginning, with precisely 6 weeks until polls close.
And he's off, striding into the election campaign as though he's not a man 20 points behind in the polls. Derbyshire, the first stop of this election and the first test of the message Rishi Sunak has 6 weeks to land.
The plan is working, requires a clear plan, and that's what I've got. I'm prepared to stick to a plan even when it's difficult.
But there was also this key admission today. There will be no flights to Rwanda until after the election.
If I'm re-elected as your Prime Minister, those flights will go to Rwanda. We will get that deterrent up and running.
That confirmation makes bringing the election forward harder to explain. Easier instead to pose for what will be the first of many campaign selfies.
The element of surprise is one advantage that Rishi Sunak had over Labour, and he's determined to ram that home, hitting the ground running with this whistle-stop tour of all four nations, heading from here to South Wales.
I'm Rishi, very nice to see you. Thanks for having us. Welcome. Well, day one, here we are.
For a non-drinker, Rishi Sunak looked delighted to be visiting a brewery, but the football small talk fell a bit flat.
So you're looking forward to all the football?
In Wales, which is not in the Euros.
People in, get people in.
Yeah. No, but that's because you guys aren't in it.
Yeah, well, to get people out, you know.
As for Keir Starmer, he was playing catch-up. No tour of the Four Nations for him, but a hastily arranged event at Gillingham Football Club in Kent. At least he'd cracked the footy chat.
Last time under a Labour government, Gillingham was in the same league as Manchester City. So that's a good place to start.
The message he's trying to land writ large behind him.
So a vote for Labour is a vote to stop the chaos. But here's the good news, because you don't have to put up with this. You do not have to put up with this. The power of the vote means that you can vote Labour to turn the page, to make the change that this country so desperately, desperately needs.
There will be one significant absentee at this election.
But I'm not going to stand as a candidate myself. Why? 6 weeks isn't long enough to fight a constituency seat and to campaign around the country.
Nigel Farage has ruled himself out of running for reform, which is one early boost for the Tories.
Look, I'm not interested in other parties, but what I would say, on July the 5th, there's either going to be Keir Starmer or myself as Prime Minister.
Rishi Sunak ended the day in Inverness, nearly 600 miles from where he started. He's given himself an early advantage, but he's got the fight of his political life to try to knock Keir Starmer off his dominant position in the polls. Romilly Weeks, News at 10, Inverness.